Hi, my name's Dave Bennett. The name of my garden railroad is Decktown and Big Stump. It's an imaginary branch line of the White Pass and Yukon Railroad, and it travels from the town of Decktown to the village of Big Stump, passing a sawmill on the way. The scale is roughly 1/24, 45 millimeter G-scale brass track. Everything is battery powered as of a couple years ago. The look I was trying to go for is kind of rural scenery with just one track, traveling through the natural scenery, going from one place to another, without kind of. I didn't want to have the tabletop look for a garden railroad, kind of like a tabletop outside. I wanted to blend it in with the natural scenery as much as possible. The era I model is roughly 1949, just because I like steam engines and old cars in that time period. The town of Big Stump is based around an imaginary, or not an imaginary, but a whimsical stump. It's a giant stump that's been turned into a tourist attraction, and there's also a logging operation surrounding it. I like to add whimsical scenes to the railroad and try to make them still look realistic and believable if that's possible. The town of Decktown is named Decktown because it's right next to my deck on the back side of my house. And the main line is about 250 feet long. It crosses 3 or 4 bridges. There's 2 tunnels, 2 trestles, so that keeps it interesting. And I tried to work it in with the natural scenery that was already here. I added a water feature that always makes things more interesting. My biggest challenge when building this railroad has been the topography and making everything look like it blends in naturally with what was already here. And since I built it, the biggest challenge is also maintaining it with all these trees overhead, constantly dropping things on the railroad. It's a lot of maintenance, but the shade is well worth it. I think keeps things cool in the summer. Before we have an open house and have visitors here, it takes a lot of preparation to get things ready. We have to clean up clean everything up, obviously, and re-level the track and freshen up the ballast just like a real railroad would. It doesn't, it's not glued down. It's just the track is just floating loose in the ballast like full-size railroads. So it takes us at least a week to get everything ready. My nephew Jamie is a big part of the maintenance on this railroad. I couldn't have the open houses without him. So we like to do one at least once a year, kind of show it off and let people come see what we've added. We haven't added any track work in close to 20 years now, but we keep adding more details and buildings and trying to improve things as we can. There's enough track work out here already to maintain. The part of the railroad I'm most proud of is I think the bridges and how we built them all from scratch and made them look like they fit the natural scenery that's fill the gaps that, like a real railroad would. They all have a purpose, and also the tunnels too that we try to make look as natural as possible. I think if I had to do this all over again, the only thing I would do differently is to convert it all to battery power sooner. My track plan is a loop-to-loop, which means there's a reverse loop at each end, which causes polarity issues, which are much more difficult to deal with on a garden railroad than they are on an indoor DCC powered railroad. So the battery power resolves that issue, and it's been a lot less stressful since we've converted all the engines over to battery power using the Revolution system is the system we use. What I enjoy most about the layout is just using my imagination to come up with the different scenes, and initially when I built it, just coming up with the track plan itself to which way it was going to go, and just using my imagination to create things more than more than actually running it. I enjoy creating it, and that's kind of how I got into my business of train installations, building layouts of all scales for other people, because more than running or operating the railroad, I enjoy building them, and I can only build so much of my own. So now I get to do it every day. The home base for my business is actually the shop behind us here, the barn I built about 20 years ago, and and that's been a great place to work and build the bridges and tables and all the other carpentry and woodwork we have to do, putting all the layouts together for people. Now let's go run some trains and you can see how this all operates.